Believe it or not, you're not behind on AI engineering yet. Because the truth is, a lot of people still do not understand what AI engineering actually is. They think it means memorizing Python, collecting certificates, watching tutorials, or building a basic chatbot and hoping someone gives them a chance. But by watching this video, you will understand more about becoming hireable in AI than most beginners. And if you make it to the end, you will know the real path to building AI proof, thinking like an AI engineer, and becoming the kind of person AI teams can actually trust. My name is Mohit. I'm a lead AI engineer at IBM, and I've helped professionals who are at risk of getting replaced by AI become AI proof without needing any fancy AI certifications in just a few weeks. So today, I'm going to show you how AI engineering works, what fundamentals actually matter, how to build real proof, and how to future-proof yourself so AI becomes your advantage instead of your replacement. How AI engineering actually works. First, let's fix the biggest misunderstanding. AI engineering is not about inventing the AI model. It's about turning AI into a useful, reliable product. That means you take a real problem, understand the user, connect the right data, design the workflow, evaluate the output, and deploy something real people can use. A lot of beginners think the AI model is the product. That's like saying, I have a microphone, so I'm basically BTS. No, you're not. You have a microphone. BTS has choreography, lighting, sound engineers, backup dancers, wardrobe, security, rehearsals, stage design, and a whole team making sure nobody's uncle gets on stage yelling, "Sing Despacito." You can't just vibe code a chatbot and say, I made an AI product. No, you made a microphone turn on. Now what happens when the user asks a weird question? What happens when the answer is wrong? What happens when it costs $47 to answer one question because your prompt has a million PDFs, the entire library, and all of your childhood trauma in it? That is where AI engineering starts. The model is not the product. The system is the product. The fundamentals you actually need. A lot of people fail because they try to learn everything all at once. They wake up on Monday like, okay, today I'm going to learn Python. By Tuesday, they're watching a video called Advanced Multi-Agent RAG with Kubernetes and fine-tuned quantized llama models. You don't even know what a function is yet. You're sitting there with one notebook open, 17 tabs open, 3 Discord servers, and some guy on YouTube is saying, first, we'll spin up a vector database. And you're like, bro, I don't even know where the semicolon goes. Python doesn't even need semicolons. That's how lost you are. You do not need all of that on day one. You need the right things in the right order. The first fundamental is basic coding. Not because you need to code like a senior engineer on day one, but because you need to understand what AI is helping you build. You need to understand variables, functions, APIs, errors, debugging, and how a simple application works. AI-assisted coding can make you much faster, but it should not replace your judgment. If you copy code you do not understand, you're not learning AI engineering. You're just outsourcing confusion. The second fundamental is product thinking. Before you ask, what tool should I use? Ask, what problem am I solving? Who is the user? Why does AI help here? And what would make this risky, wrong, slow, expensive, or unreliable? This is where your old career becomes an advantage. If you come from finance, management, logistics, you already understand real-world workflows. Your background is not useless. Maybe the best place to find your first credible AI product. The third fundamental is understanding LLMs practically. You do not need to know every training detail, but you do need to know how models behave. LLMs are powerful, but they are not truth machines. They generate answers based on patterns and context. So your job is to design the system that gives the model the right context at the right time. RAG is not just connect documents to ChatGPT. RAG is how you give the model better evidence before it answers. An AI engineer does not just ask, did the model answer? They ask, did the system retrieve the right evidence? The fourth fundamental is evaluation. Beginners ask, does it work? Engineers ask, how do we know it works? Is the answer accurate and grounded? Does version 2 actually perform better than version 1? This is where you stop building toys and start thinking like an AI engineer. Pick one project and go deep. Now here is the rule that will save you months. Do not build 10 random AI projects, because I know what happens. You build a chatbot on Monday, you build a PDF summarizer on Tuesday, Wednesday you build an AI travel planner, Thursday you build an AI therapist, Friday you build an AI therapist for the AI travel planner, because now everybody's confused. And then in the interview they ask, so what problem were you solving? And you're like, honestly, my boredom. That is not a portfolio. That is a crime scene with GitHub commits. Build one serious AI product connected to your background, your interests, and the role you want. If you are in HR, build around hiring, policy search, or workforce planning. If you're in finance, build around research, reporting, or decision support. Whatever your domain is, use it. Do not build something generic. Before you build, write a simple design doc and answer 7 questions. What problem you are solving, who the user is, what success looks like, what data do you need, what the AI can and cannot do, what the failure cases are, and how you will evaluate whether it works. That design doc becomes part of your proof, because now you are not just saying, I built an AI app, you are showing that you can reason like an engineer. A serious project should prove you understand the problem and the user, can design the system, use AI appropriately, evaluate output, deploy and monitor it, and explain your decisions. That is what hiring teams trust, not potential, proof. Learn the AI product stack. Once you pick the product, learn the stack by building it, not by memorizing definitions. Every AI product, no matter how complex, shares the same 7 layers. Once you see them, the product stops looking like magic. First, the presentation layer. What the user sees. Chat, buttons, dashboards, forms. It collects input and shows output. Second, the application layer. The Python backend that handles requests, login, and routing. Third, orchestration. The brain that decides what to do next. Should it retrieve, calculate, or call the model? Agents live here. Not the model, but the logic that picks the next step. Fourth, the model layer. The language model that reads and writes text. Just one part of the system, easily swapped. GPT, Claude, Llama, whatever fits. Fifth, knowledge and retrieval, where documents and user data live. This is RAG, fresh information when the model needs it, not whatever it memorized in training. Sixth, tools and actions, where the system computes and acts. The model cannot do reliable math. Tools can. Seventh, observability and evaluation. Everything that happens behind the scenes. Logs, speed, token cost. Without this layer, you are flying blind. Use AI-assisted coding like a professional. Now, let's talk about the shortcut everyone is using wrong. AI-assisted coding. This is why learning AI engineering is different now. You can move faster than beginners could 5 years ago. AI can speed up every step of building if you direct it correctly. The wrong way is this. Build me an app. Copy, paste, run, error. Then you paste the error back into ChatGPT like it's a doctor. Doc, he's not breathing. ChatGPT says, try reinstalling dependencies. You reinstall dependencies. Now the app is worse. Before it had 1 error. Now it has 12 errors, 3 warnings, and a folder called final, really final V. And now you are angry with the AI. The right way is to make AI explain before it builds. Ask for the plan and the trade-offs. That is how you use AI to build your own skills. The goal is not to type every line from memory. The goal is to understand what is being built, why it works, where it fails, and how to explain it. Professionals do not let AI replace their judgment. They use AI to increase the speed and quality of their judgment. AI-generated code can look finished while still being insecure or overcomplicated. So your job is to become the reviewer. Ask, is this maintainable? Does it actually solve the user's problem? That is the difference between vibe coding and AI engineering. Make the project production ready. If you want to stand out, do not stop at a prototype. A prototype proves the idea can work. A production-ready product proves you understand reality. Most beginner projects break the second a real user touches them. It works perfectly when you test it. You ask, summarize this document. It says, here is the summary. Beautiful. You feel like a genius. You start walking different. Then one real user shows up and types, can you compare these 3 PDFs? Ignore page 2. Use the 2023 policy unless 2024 policy contradicts it, and answer in Spanish. Your app looks at that request and says, forget about it. I'm going to lunch. That's the difference between a demo and a product. A demo works when the user behaves like they read the instructions. A product works when the user behaves like a real human being with 47 browser tabs open and no patience. To make your project credible, add 6 production habits. Start with the baseline. Before you build something complex, create a simple version, maybe a basic prompt, keyword search, or a simple RAG pipeline without re-ranking. Then improve it step by step. If you do not have a baseline, you cannot prove your system got better. Then add error handling. Bad answers, empty retrieval, out-of-scope questions. Then add testing. Main features, bad inputs, and whether answers actually stay grounded. Then add evaluation. 30 to 50 realistic questions, including ones the system should refuse, and track what improved between versions. Then add logging. What users asked, what was retrieved, what the model returned, and where failures happened. Then deploy and monitor latency, cost, and quality in production, not just on your laptop. That is real proof. You can say you built a product with a baseline, evaluation, edge cases, testing, deployment, and documented trade-offs. Prepare to get hired. Now, here is a part a lot of people skip. Building the project is not enough. You need to learn how to present it. Hiring is based on trust, and trust comes from how clearly you can explain your thinking. When someone asks about your project, don't just say what it does. Explain the problem, the architecture, what failed, how you evaluated it, how you improved it. That is how you sound hireable. Not by pretending to know everything, but by showing that you can think. For example, say, I built an AI helper for our accounting team, which was a RAG application for expense policies. It answers the questions about receipt rules, mileage rates, and approval limits. The first version gave vague answers when someone needed an exact rule. And this was because I used basic semantic search, which missed specific terms like dollar limits. So I tested hybrid retrieval, where we mixed keyword search with embeddings. I created an evaluation set of 40 real questions that our staff actually asked. I measured whether the retrieved chunks were relevant and whether the final answers were grounded in the source documents. I added refusal behavior for personal tax advice and anything outside the company policy. Then I deployed the app and logged retrieved context, latency, and user feedback. That sounds completely different. That sounds like someone who understands AI engineering. You become hireable through product thinking, AI judgment, real proof, clear reasoning, and by turning your background into a product advantage. Future-proof yourself. Now let's talk about how to stay ahead. AI tools will change, frameworks will change, models will change, the thinking process will not. So if you want to future-proof yourself, build 3 things: taste, judgment, and care. Taste is knowing what good looks like. The better your taste gets, the less impressed you become by shallow demos. Judgment is knowing what matters in context. RAG or fine-tuning, that is engineering judgment. Care is what makes you build things people can trust. So think about what happens when the AI is wrong, or when the answer sounds confident but is not grounded. AI can generate code, AI can summarize documents, AI can help you move faster, but it does not care whether your product solves the right problem safely and reliably. That part is still on you. So the future belongs to people who can combine AI speed with human judgment, not people who just chase frameworks. So, believe it or not, you are still early. Not because AI is new, but because a lot of people are still waiting until they feel ready instead of building proof. The real path is simpler. One serious product, real fundamentals, production thinking, clear explanations and interviews. That is how you learn AI engineering. That is how you build proof, and that is how you become someone AI teams can trust. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, okay, this makes sense, but I don't want to figure out the project, the roadmap, the technical pieces, and the interview process all on my own. That is exactly where you can use help from someone like me, someone who actually works in the industry every single day, and someone who has actually helped people future-proof their careers. I don't want to idly stand by while someone else loses their job to AI. So, book a free call with me, and I'll help you get clarity on what you should do next. Link is in the description.